Your freedom for Bruce Wayne. I just want to know where my boy is.
Oh. All right.
How's it going, everybody? Or should I say butlers for Pennyworth? I have no idea, because this is a Pennyworth update. I think I've done 1 or 2 videos on this before, when they first announced that they were working on the show. You know, the masterminds behind Gotham, Jack Bannon, who I'm sure you're all aware of, and also obviously Bruno Heller. I'm sure a lot of you are aware already, but yes, they are making an Alfred kind of origin show. It has nothing to do with the Gotham universe, and to everyone who's asking about all of that, I think the fact that they're making an Alfred show, you know, way into Alfred's younger days, and they could kind of easily tie that into Gotham, but they're choosing not to, is evidence enough. But this video is just to give you an update on who they've cast as Alfred, Thomas Wayne, the villain of the series, and, you know, just my opinion on what they're doing with this show and how I feel about it in general. Will I be watching it? Is it going to be worth watching it for you guys? And stuff like that. But before I dive into this Pennyworth video, guys, be sure to subscribe if you're brand new for more updates on comic booky stuff just like this, and be sure to like the video if you do go on to enjoy it. So all of you who don't know what Pennyworth is about, even though it's kind of obvious that it's like an Alfred and Thomas Wayne origin story, here's like a more or less concrete description about it. The story is set in a 1960s London and finds Pennyworth recently finished with his service as a British SAS soldier. The military years have taken him to dark duties, but Pennyworth still has winning ways with his boyish face, clever mind, and charismatic personality. Pennyworth forms a security company and finds an employer in a young American billionaire named Thomas Wayne. Pennyworth is planned as 10 one-hour episodes that will chronicle the origins of the bond between Pennyworth and the Wayne family, a connection that in later decades will make Pennyworth the butler and devoted guardian of a young Bruce Wayne, and eventually turning into that man, the butler himself, who stands beside Batman in the Batcave and all kinds of things. So that is essentially the story. Now, as for the cast, guys, who is playing Alfred and Thomas Wayne, and even the main villain that they've announced? Well, it is Jack Bannon from The Imitation Game, and honestly, I saw that film a while ago, so I did a little bit of research into this, and that is, I'm pretty sure, the only thing I've seen him in. Not in a disrespectful way there, I just don't know like much of his work, but I'm sure he looks like he can pull off the role just from like a young Alfred kind of look. And to be honest, I'm sure like Jack Bannon and Bruno Heller, like, think about if you're a big fan of Gotham and you're watching this video, like, I'm sure if you like Gotham, instead of just writing, oh, F this show, blah, 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 like, they've got to cast a decent cast like they have in Gotham with those characters, just like for Thomas Wayne and obviously Alfred here. Now, as for the father of Bruce Wayne himself, Thomas Wayne, the young billionaire, even though that's quite a few years away till he has little Bruce with Martha. Maybe if this season goes on long enough, he will meet Martha with Alfred or something like that. I have no idea. But that is Ben Aldridge, same situation. Don't know too much for his work. And as for the villain of this 10-episode series, well, that is Pamela Faith, and she has been cast as the role of Bette Sykes, and her character is described as a spirited, sadistic, and sharp-tongued villain. Now, who knows exactly how this story is going to go, and I think everyone's first thoughts, now obviously I can't speak for everyone actually, but a majority of people from when I last made a video about this, which is kind of surprising and not surprising at the same time. It's weird because obviously I have a lot of Gotham fans. When I made this previous Alfred video, when we first found news out about it, a lot of people were like, can't be bothered this series, blah, 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 blah. Like, a lot of comments like that. Now, what I will say is that there is definitely a story here. Like, Jack Bannon and Bruno Heller wouldn't like do this unless they didn't have faith in it. I mean, there definitely is a story there that hasn't been told properly before, and it does represent a interesting TV series in the sense of who is Alfred? What turned him into the guy that we know and love today? Like, I'm sure they got inspired by Sean Pertwee's amazing kind of more fisticuffs kind of Alfred. I mean, Alfred has been portrayed like that before, of course, but we've never really delved into the grit of Alfred, into what turned him into the, you know, Wayne family guardian of Bruce Wayne, and this friendship he had with Thomas Wayne. And that is what this show is striving to do, with him setting up this security company after he leaves the SAS, and then he bumps into Thomas Wayne, and obviously Thomas Wayne is going to have some shroud to him in this show, being a billionaire, and that's no surprise in the sense as well, because in a lot of recent years they've gone quite far into like different versions of Thomas Wayne, and how some of the stuff he's done in the past is questionable rather than the beloved, you know, Thomas Wayne that is often depicted as, you know, this person who just tried to help out Gotham City. Even though I think that is going to be the case in this show, there's going to have to be some stuff that happens with Alfred's company, security company, that is protecting Thomas Wayne with, that warrants the protection of Thomas Wayne, if that makes sense. Now, Alfred Pennyworth in this show is described as a boyishly handsome, cheerful, charming, clever young man from London, honest, open-faced and witty. You never take him for an SAS killer. Alfred doesn't know how to reconcile the kind-hearted boy he used to be with the cold, calculated killer he was forced to become. He's a man on the make who doesn't know what to make of himself yet. So I guess, you know, quite obviously in this series, he's got to forge that kind of person who is there to look after Bruce one day. And the amount of insight we can get into, like, in this version of Alfred, mixing all kind of elements from the background history of its characters' stories in the comics, is definitely an opportunity. 100%. Like, everything I've just said is cause enough for, like, something that's worth going for, right? But is it what people are interested in? Because from what I've experienced, or from what I've seen, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of people, it's just like, cool, but who cares kind of thing. And for me, I definitely had a little bit of that reaction. Even for me, I was just like, with what I've just been saying, like, okay, there's something there, but dude, like, yeah. But the more I'm hearing about this show, it does make me more interested. And at the end of the day, guys, like, we can't really judge it until we've seen it. And if it's like, imagine if it turns out to be flipping amazing. That would be awesome. So my advice, at least, is even though it's probably absolutely normal to be apprehensive about this show, we won't know until we know. From what we're hearing, like what I've mentioned in this video, it sounds pretty cool. But we're going to have to wait and see. All I'm going to say on top of that is, these are the guys who made Gotham. You love Gotham, like you Gothamites who are watching this video. So at least there's some kind of continuity there, not in story or canon, but from the people who made the flipping show. But the thing is, like, what I'm reading here still is that, you know, Pennyworth is like one of the prequel shows that Warner Brothers is still developing alongside, you know, Metropolis, which still seems to be a thing, and Krypton is obviously a thing as well. Now, as I mentioned as well, obviously I get, like, the whole thing of, like, oh, we don't want to go in the past, like, we already know what happens at the end, but there definitely is evidently a market for shows like this. I mean, it's like that Game of Thrones prequel show. I think it's not the Valerians, I can't remember, I don't know if that got cancelled, but like, shows set in the past, just because, you know, Krypton's going to blow up in Krypton doesn't mean there isn't a fan base there, and that rich stories of these characters can be told. Like, there's all of that opportunity there. So the more I do think about it, in conclusion, is that even though at first thought this is like a bit of a kind of feeling, the fact that we all know and love Alfred, and I honestly believe Sean Pertwee is a big part to play in how Alfred can be brought to screen in a very physical way, rather than just the, you know, the old frail kind of Michael Caine version of Alfred. Even though I love Michael Caine's Alfred, Sean Pertwee is seriously my favorite live action Alfred. He has all the classical elements, the whole Master Bruce, Master B, the caring, like, almost, well, yeah, fatherly figure that he likes to think of himself as, but also the guy who will mother flipping go out there, since Gotham is a prequel, he's not that old Alfred yet, and use his bloody fist to fight people on behalf of Bruce if he has to. And now this show is set even further in the past, and I'm sure he will be similar to, obviously, the Alfred we knew in Gotham in the sense of physicality, because this is a guy who just got out the SAS. They have emphasized that, like, he's done a lot of, like, dark things when he was, you know, doing his service in the military or the SAS. So I think this guy is going to have a few demons, even though he is, at his heart, the kind, clever, charming Alfred, as they described for this character in Pennyworth. So that's what makes me excited, at least. But it, you know, we're just gonna have to wait and see till what happens. Now, as for the villain, Bet Sykes, I'm just glad that they're doing this overarching villain, if you will. I'm kind of hoping that that still doesn't mean they're going to do like a weekly villain kind of thing, because I don't really think that works so great in some shows, because it's just villains you don't really care about so much, if that makes sense as well. I mean, I can imagine they still might do that, since this is going to be a security company. There will be an overarching villain like Bet Sykes, but they're, you know, villains coming in every week might be a thing, especially if they're working for her. And I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow write that he kind of gets romantically involved with this villain at some point. Maybe it's before they find out she's, you know, that antagonistic character who is a sadistic and sharp-tongued villain, as they say here. I can just, maybe that's too predictable, but I don't know. So guys, I'm just gonna leave it here. I just wanted to splur a load of thoughts at you guys about this Alfred show. What do you think? Do you still think? Who gives a crap about this show? Or are you trying to, like, even though you may have initially thought that, are you still trying to think optimistically with all of this news that has come out and, you know, still at least give it a chance? Like, for example, Krypton has done well for itself. So maybe this show could too, especially as Alfred has never been a character that's been as explored as what they're trying to attempt here. And there is definitely a rich history they can apply to this character. And the story sounds pretty cool as well, like meeting Thomas Wayne. How did he meet him? Blah, 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 blah. But anyway, guys, if you did enjoy this video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button. And obviously, if you're brand new, subscribe for more Pennyworth updates like this, because I will keep on top of the show. Links, as always, are in the description down below to my social media, to other ways to support me, like Patreon and my merch and things like that. But thank you so much, butlers, for watching. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. That's probably not a good name for one of you butlers. But anyway, guys, see you later.